Goedemiddag ondertussen iedereen. Meneer de burgemeester, leden van het Schepencollege, leden van de vaderlandslievende verenigingen, leden van de Vredesbeweging Beleco. Ik verwelkom ook de familie de Liedekerken. We also welcome Mr. Warner Robert, attaché of the US Embassy. Dames en heren, in al uw titels en hoedanigheden en ook al de vaandeldragers, van harte welkom. We are also deeply honored to welcome several families from the crew members who have traveled from the United States to join us today. Beth and Peter Manning, along with Jack and Brenda Colby. Jack and Beth are siblings and their father, Royce Colby, served as a radio operator. Tim Duffy and his daughter, Katie, have joined us as well. Tim is the son of Thomas Duffy, the navigator. Steve Dudgeon and his wife Terry, along with Dave Dudgeon. Dave and Steve are brothers and are the nephews of Lee Taylor, who served as the waist gunner. Zanger André zal ons het lied O Danny Boy brengen, een geliefkoosd nummer binnen de United States Army Air Force. Hierbij zullen de 9 aanwezige families de 9 portretten plaatsen aan het monument. Singer André will perform the song O Danny Boy, a beloved song within the United States Army Air Force. During this, the attending families will place the 9 portraits at the monument.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. And I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. It happens. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. But when you come and all the flowers dying, if I am dead, as dead I well may be, you come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me, and I shall hear the soft dew tread above me, and on my grave will warmer sweeter be, for you will bend and tell me that you love me, and I shall sleep in peace unto you, unto me.
Uiteraard weten we wat we vandaag herdenken. 11 november, het einde van de Eerste Wereldoorlog. Today, November 11th, which began as Armistice Day, started as a celebration of the peace that followed the conflict of World War I. In the following years, it evolved into Veterans Day, a day to honor those who have served and now serve in uniform. Graag hadden wij vandaag extra stilgestaan bij de gebeurtenis van 80 jaar geleden, wanneer er op 26 november 1944 een Amerikaanse bommenwerper van het type B-24 neerstort op de woning ter Drinnerke, gelegen hier achter mij. In 2010 hebben we het monument hier achter mij ingehuldigd voor het vliegtuig met aan boord de landing crew, genoemd naar de piloot. De inhuldiging was een eerbetoon aan al die jonge soldaten die naar Europa kwamen om te vechten voor onze vrijheid die we vandaag de dag kennen. On the mission of November 26, 1944, 31 planes were sent out from the 491st Bomb Group. Only 15 returned to England. 141 young men were either reported missing or lost their lives. And many others, some of them just teenagers, never returned home to their families. They found their final resting place here on our soil. Staff Sergeant Lee Taylor, the waist gunner, was one of them. Taylor was the only crew member who did not survive the mission. On the eve of the crash in Leefdaal, Taylor has a bad feeling. He wanted to write a letter to his wife telling her not to buy that house that they intended to. When Carbone asked him why, Taylor said, "I don't think I'm gonna make it back." To which Carbone replied, "That's something you don't say. Think positive. Don't forget I'm on the same plane with you." He didn't write the letter that night. Later that day, the bomber crashed. Since the passing in 2016 from the last crew members, Otto and Royce, the landing crew has been reunited for their last flight. November 26, 1944 was not only the date of the crash, but also the beginning of a friendship. A friendship between two countries, a friendship between ordinary families, a friendship between ordinary people, and to say it in the words of our American friends, our extended family from Belgium. We willen uiteraard ook het menselijk leed van de lokale Leefdalenaren niet vergeten. Gezinnen die in één klap bij de crash alles wat ze hadden verloren zagen gaan in de vlammen. Eveneens mogen we niet vergeten dat Leefdaal gespaard is gebleven van een zware tragedie. Als het vliegtuig slechts enkele honderden meters verderop was neergestort, zouden we midden op de kerk zijn terechtgekomen. Dit zou een onmetelijk menselijk leed hebben veroorzaakt, aangezien er op dat moment veel mensen in de kerk aanwezig waren. Ik dank u. Wij geven nu het woord aan meneer Warner Robert, attaché van de Amerikaanse ambassade. We now give the word to Mr. Warner Robert, attaché at the US Embassy.
Thank you. Mayor, Central Leuven drivers, and families of the crew, distinguished guests. It is truly an honor to be here today in Leefdaal to remember the crash of the landing crew and many others who served during that World War. This year we have been remembering and honoring the 80th anniversary of battles of 1944, which chronicle the Allied march across Western Europe, pushing back Hitler's forces and restoring freedom. Thousands of American and Allied soldiers came to Europe to defend freedom and liberty against oppression. They fought for the principles that America stood for then, as it does now. That march was supported in the skies, a vital but dangerous arena over Europe. I won't repeat the story of the B-24 and its heroic crew, but to the visiting American family members, know that the heroic efforts of your loved ones have not been forgotten. And to the people of Belgium, know that your assistance to this and many other air crews are not forgotten. I'd like to thank the mayor, local officials, and the Leuven Central patent drivers for all you have done to keep the memory alive. Freedom comes with a heavy price, and your work helps keep the torch of remembrance burning brightly for future generations. To active duty servicemen and women, you do your countries proud. Being here today, you bear witness to the legacy of those who wore the uniform with pride nearly 80 years ago, a tradition you shall all continue to exemplify. Thank you for your service. Peace is only at risk when individual citizens lose sight of the intrinsic link between freedom and duty. By standing together then, we did not simply persevere, but we emerged victorious and stronger and created a united and enduring transatlantic friendship. We must continue to work together to safeguard our democracies, economies, and liberties. We must always defend the promise of what can be and what should be. I would like to express the Embassy's deep gratitude to all of you here today. Thank you.
To honor the 9 crew members, I will now read their names. Pilot, First Lieutenant Lanning, 28 years old. Co-pilot, First Lieutenant Guzak, 23 years old. Navigator, First Lieutenant Duffy, 26 years old. Bombardier, First Lieutenant Latimore Jr., 23 years old. Engineer, Technical Sergeant Burbank, 26 years old. Radio operator, Technical Sergeant Colby, 22 years old. Right waist gunner, Staff Sergeant Carbone, 19 years old. Left waist gunner, Staff Sergeant Taylor, 27 years old. Tail gunner, Staff Sergeant Solgren, 24 years old. We gaan nu luisteren naar een koraal, ons gebracht door de Koninklijke Fanfare Sint-Lambertus. We zullen hierbij eerbetoon brengen aan de ganse crew. Mensen, kinderen die een kaarsje en of een bloem hebben gekregen, mogen zelfs naar voren komen om deze aan het monument bij de foto's te plaatsen. Naar jaarlijkse traditie zetten we een 10e kaarsje ter nagedachtenis van onze overleden en goede vrienden Ferdinand Goossens, Naken voor de Vrienden, de bezieler van het monument hier achter mij. Ossaar Charles, Palmke voor de vrienden, Van Kutsen Pierre en Den Bompa, Georges Michiels. Ook hen zijn we niet vergeten. Ja.
give the word to Jim Duffy, Steve Dudgeon, and Jack Colby.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Jack Colby. I'm son of Technical Sergeant Royce Colby, as has been said, was the radio operator for the landing flight. It's a great honor for me to be here representing the Colby family today, along with my sister Beth, my wife Brenda, and my brother-in-law Peter. it's very quickly one of the realizations that we have, that had it not been for the bravery and kindness of the people of Leefdaal on that tragic day, that maybe this family would not be here right now. They certainly took care of my father after he had bailed out, and were key in getting him back to the UK at his Air Force base there. I think that's something that we will forever be thankful for, is the work of the Belgian people to repatriate him and to take care of him after this incident. Now, like millions of others, my father, at the end of the war, he completed all his missions, returned home, and after getting released from the military, he very quickly returned home to Minnesota in the U.S. and returned to his job there, and then got married, started a family, and the story that's told many, many times across the world. And yet, as my family was growing up, we never heard much from my father about his experiences in the war, and we knew that he was on a bomber and was a radio operator and tail gunner for a while, but other than that, not much information. And then in, I think it was about 2010, my father was retired by then and sitting at home drinking coffee and reading the newspaper in the morning, as was his current practice, when he received a telephone call. And on the call, the man said, "Hey Royce, this is Otto." 60 years, 65 years later, my father said, "Who's Otto?" And so he said, "Otto Carbone." My father had flown on the landing crew for this one mission, and he and Otto helped with the wounded crew members, and Otto was wounded also. My father helped him out the bomb bay doors as he parachuted out, and because Otto was badly wounded, he was taken directly to a British hospital, and for over 65 years my father never knew what happened to Otto till that moment. And so with that started our adventure with not only the patent drivers, but the friendships that we've made here in Belgium, and it's something that we'll never forget. And in fact, within my family right now, when everybody says the Belgians, we know exactly that's part of our extended family. It's really something that we appreciate in terms of the lessons we've learned from the patent drivers about the sacrifices made by the Belgian people during the war and in protecting freedom and remaining a very strong entity within the world after that conflict. I only hope that the U.S., after all the issues we've been going through, that we can be the defenders of freedom as strong as the Belgian people have been. And so with that, I'll say on behalf of the Colby family, thank you for all of this recognition and for us to be able to have the opportunity to return to Belgium again.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. It's overwhelming, completely overwhelming. It's a lesson to me as somebody who's spent my time thinking mainly about my family and things close to home, to see that this town, this country has remembered this event, as humble as I feel about it. As Jack pointed out, my dad was on the crew. He was the navigator. His name was Thomas Duffy, and I'm his son Tim, and I've come here with my daughter Kate. We're from the East Coast of the United States, And I just want to say thank you to all the people here in Leefdaal, to those members of the military and everyone in town. Thank you so much for honoring those Americans who came here to help out. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steve Dudgeon. I'm here representing my family, the family of Lee Taylor, Sergeant Lee Taylor. I'm here with my brother. I'm here with my wife. I'm also representing my sister, Alice, who was a big part of making this happen for us to be here today. She was unable to attend. I also represent all of our children and our grandchildren. I wish my mother could be here. She would be very, very impressed and very, very thankful for this. My mother was Lee's sister, and she was only 13 years old when he passed. And it meant a great deal, but she never had nearly as much information about what happened to Lee as we have now because of the efforts of these folks. I would like to thank the patent drivers and all the people that have been important part of gathering all this information and building the monument and making this event happen. It's very impressive. I believe that it's, I also wanted to say thank you to the citizens of Leefdaal and Leuven for all the hospitality that we have encountered since we've been here. It has been wonderful, great. I believe that it's important that we learn from the history of things like this and that we can teach that to the future generations so that the kind of things that happened in World War II here never happen again anywhere. We must recognize and respect these crew members' commitment to their mission. I think we must acknowledge the hardships that they endured to make that happen. It wouldn't be anything like today with communications and travel. And I think we must honor the sacrifice, and in the case of Sergeant Lee A. Taylor, the ultimate sacrifice. And his sacrifice in the name of peace. Thank you all very much.
We gaan zo dadelijk over tot de bloemlegging. We will proceed with the laying of the wreaths. In naam van het gemeentebestuur. Mr. Warner Robert, attaché of the U.S. Embassy. In naam van de vredesbeweging Beleco. In name of the family of the crew. In naam van de Belgian Living History Association. onze vereniging Paton Drivers Leuven Centraal. Indien er nog mensen zijn die iets willen neerleggen aan het monument. We zullen nu overgaan tot de saluutschoten. Mogen wij u verzoeken om de oren te beschermen en moesten er mensen zijn met dieren om die dichtbij te houden. We will now proceed with the gun salute. May we kindly ask you to protect your ears, and if there are any people present with animals, please look after them.
Ready? Aim. Fire! Aim. Fire! Aim. Fire!
We zullen nu overgaan tot het spelen van de taps, onmiddellijk gevolgd door de Amerikaanse hymne. Mag ik jullie vragen om hierbij een moment van stilte in acht te nemen. We will now proceed with the playing of the taps, immediately followed by the American anthem. May I ask you to observe a moment of silence during this time.
Go! Present! Or!
We zijn nu aan het einde gekomen van deze plechtigheid. Doedelzakspeler Stefan zal ons nog Amazing Grace brengen. Tot slot willen wij iedereen bedanken voor jullie aanwezigheid. De heer burgemeester Joël van der Elst, US Embassy, dames en heren van het Schepencollege, de Vredesbeweging Beleco, de Koninklijke Fanfare Sint-Lambertus voor de muzikale ondersteuning. De schoolgemeenschap van Leefdaal die de traditie in ere houdt door jaarlijks zelf geknutselde poppies aan het monument te komen plaatsen. En ook de Giro willen wij bedanken. In naam van de Vredesbeweging Beleco wordt u allen uitgenodigd voor een receptie in de Vlieging. Onder muzikale begeleiding van de Koninklijke Fanfare gaan wij nu in stoet naar de Vlieging, waar u de mogelijkheid zal hebben om de tentoonstelling van de crash van de B-24 voor een laatste maal te bezoeken. Tot gisteravond hebben wij reeds 377 bezoekers mogen verwelkomen en enkel met lovende woorden. De deuren worden om 15 uur onherroepelijk gesloten. Dank u wel.